Hello and welcome to EA Tarot. I'm Emily, and if you're new here, I discuss all things new and old, tarot, oracle, and witchy book related. Now, today I want to chat with you guys regarding the Outlaw Oracle, but before I really get into the sustenance of this deck, I first wanted to mention that I am fully aware and I see my analytics, and I know that so many of you who watch my channel are not subscribed, and so do us both a little favor and just click that subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. It costs you nothing, and yeah, it would be super cool if you would. But I digress. Let's just kind of hop into the deck and chat about my experience with working with the Outlaw Oracle. So I was extra when I decided to film this, because I went ahead and put my Outlaw Oracle back in the box just so I could give you guys a well-rounded experience of the deck. You guys, this packaging is literally phenomenal. I am obsessed with it, and it's probably one of my most favorite style boxes that I have. Now, if you've been here for any amount of time, you know I love a good magnetic closure box, and I do, but this is like so fun, and it is so on brand for the Outlaw Oracle that I love that Hilary, the creator of this deck, put that extra thought and emphasis into it and created a box that just literally ties the whole deck together. This deck, or this box, is like the ribbon on a packaging. Like, it literally just ties it and makes it look so pristine, and just it adds so much to the deck, and I did not want to leave that out. Now, the Outlaw Oracle has been fully living outside of its box, minus like the 10 minutes it's been in this box prior to this video, but it's been living outside of its box on my work desk, which is where I film and do all of my client readings, journal sessions, all that good stuff. I do it here. And so my deck has been living outside of this box, but I wanted to give you guys the full experience. So I went ahead and I tossed her back in just so I could take her back out. So we have the Outlaw Oracle, independent, authentic, and rebellious. I love everything about this deck, you guys. Now we go ahead and we pull it out. We have really cute little embellishings or drawings here on the inside of the box. We have some, maybe some pre-rolled cigarettes or other herbs. Looks like a guitar, cowboy hat, boots with spurs. Like, it's just a very cowboy style deck. If you live under a rock and you don't understand the reference to the box, it's definitely a pack of Marlboro Reds inspired box, which I really love because that's just like the cowboy cigarette of choice. But yeah, it's just, I love the box. The box is the first thing that I noticed, and I was like, this is literally so fun. We do have a really nice guidebook that comes with the deck. We do have, I would like to say, our card meanings don't start until like page 38. Yeah, 38. And so we have quite a bit of, contents and backstory prior to getting into the deck, which if you're a guidebook person, you will appreciate that. the deck itself, the Oracle deck, is broken up into the elemental suits, which I really, really appreciate. We have the fire suits, earth, air, and water. So even though it is an Oracle deck, it does have its own sense of structure, quite similar to the tarot. And so I really like that. Now, let's see, we have the Outlaw Oracle introduction. I'll read you guys just a little bit so you guys can get a little glimpse of it. It says, outcasts and exiles spend a lot of time alone, their only company being their inner dialogue, and sometimes that dialogue can be downright cruel. The Outlaw Oracle card deck began as something much different than the deck you hold today. It started as a love letter to myself years ago as I moved from Oklahoma to Southeast Texas, then from Texas to South Florida, and finally from Florida to Southern California. So we do have a bit of Hilary's backstory in here, which I really like. And if you're interested in that, obviously grab a copy of the deck, support her shop. She is super amazing. I will say before I get too much into this that Hilary was really, really kind and sent me this deck for review. I would like to say back in October of 2024. Yeah, 2024. And that was before I ever had my YouTube. And so I was just solely working off of my Instagram. And because of that, I didn't unbox it on the channel. Obviously, I didn't have a channel to unbox it on at that point in time. But now that we're here and now that I do have it, this is me giving you guys a full walkthrough of the deck and then, you know, just chatting with you guys about my experience working with the deck. So I just wanted to drop that in there for anyone who's curious. I didn't purchase this deck with my own funds. However, she does have a second edition to the deck. Now, this is the first edition, which it might be just unavailable anymore because she updated 2 of the cards in the deck. And so when she did that update, I think she just has the second edition available. So this first one, I believe, is out of print, but if I am wrong, please drop a comment and let me know in the description or in the comments below. Speaking of description box, though, I will have all the links to this deck and the creator in the description. So, yeah, she talks a little bit about reversals. It just gives a really good all-around how-to if you've never done it before. And so for those of you who are new and you may not feel like you know what you're doing yet with an Oracle deck, this is one that you can pick up and grab, and it'll definitely give you a starting point to build a practice off of. And so I like that. But yeah, we just kind of start right off. We have a couple card spreads. We have the 3-card spread, 5-card spread, and yeah, you can pull an additional card for clarity if desired. Again, this is really useful information if you're new to card slinging and working with tarot and oracle decks. But yeah, she starts off with the fire suit with the North Star at, number 1. She does give a little keywords or key phrases that are here on the card as well as on the side of the card. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then she gives you guys a straight shot, which is like a clean and concise meaning of that card. And then we have the upright, reversed meanings of the card. And then we have recommended songs. And that can be really, really fun when you are working this into a personal practice. And so I enjoy the music reference because, yes, a lot of these songs I'm familiar with, but a lot of them I'm not. So to give you guys a little bit of a backstory on myself, I guess it's safe to kind of mention that now. I grew up and I still live a fairly, I guess one could reference it as like an outlaw lifestyle. Now, I've calmed down quite a bit, but I grew up with horses, and I've always had horses. I still have horses. I currently have 5 horses, which is crazy. But I grew up seeing a lot of the images that are in this deck are things that I experienced in my early childhood to adolescence to early adulthood, and still now, you know, well into my early 30s. Like, this is still very, very practical and everyday imagery, and so I really connect with the deck on that level. I live in southeastern Arizona, and so some of the terrain that she has photographed in this deck is very, very reminiscent to just what I see outside in my daily life. I don't live in a neighborhood. Obviously, you couldn't do that with 5 horses. So we do have, you know, a little house and a chunk of land. And this deck just kind of hits home for me in that sense. Now, I've mentioned this a little bit before. I guess I'll take you guys through the cards while I'm chatting. But I love these backs too, you guys. These are really beautiful backs. And we have lovely gilded edges here. It's just a scrumptious deck. It really, really is. Now, I had a horse, and her name was Outlaw, and I had her entire life. I remember the day she was born, and we had her mom, actually. So, and I have her daughter now, so I have 3 generations of this one bloodline of horse. You know, you guys get what I'm saying. We had 3 generations. We had the grandma, we had the mom, which was my horse. Her name was Outlaw. And then I have one of her babies, which I named Solara. And so Outlaw was like my heart horse. This horse and I, we grew up together. And it was some of the best experiences I've ever had, I had with my horse. And as someone who's coming to you guys, you know, through the lens of like tarot and oracle and witchy, you know, slightly spiritually there, whatever, my horse was my best friend. Like, I'm an incredibly introverted person. I never really jived with other kids my age. They never quite understood some of my experiences that I went through as an early, child. And so my horse Outlaw was everything to me, and she still is. So when I saw this deck, the Outlaw Oracle, she had been laid to rest for, I would like to say, roughly a year, if that. And I was like, I need this deck. Now, I work with my animals, especially the ones who have passed on, and they kind of become non-human ancestors for me, I guess you could say. If you're interested in that topic at all, I will drop my Substack post that I wrote where I kind of discuss this in a lot more detail. I'm not going to go over it here, but if you're interested in non-human ancestors and animal veneration as ancestors, check out the description box. But I got this deck and I was like, this is a direct line of communication to my horse. And so not only do I use this deck for its very true and forward outlaw medicine, but I use it as a way to communicate with my horse who is no longer physically here. And we just are able to connect through this deck like that. And so that's one of the ways that I work with this deck. Now, another way that I work with this deck is this is very reminiscent of my biological parents. in a sense, given the lifestyle I had as a child and kind of the one that I guess you could say still carry on today. Both of my biological parents were, for lack of a better term, not the greatest people that ever walked the earth, but they did both give me an incredible love for horses specifically and for this outlaw sort of lifestyle. And so because I have that frame of reference for the deck as well, I also will use this deck as a way to kind of unpack maybe some parental trauma that I am still holding on to. And I have done some reparenting of myself through this deck. Now, again, these are not ways that are described in the guidebook on how to work with this deck. This is intuitively what resonates for me and how I feel like I can get the most out of it, if that makes sense. And I really, really hope that it does. But yeah, there's a billion and one ways that you can work with this deck. It's literally personal preference, in my opinion. I think this is a really lovely deck, and if you are drawn to the outlaw music movement, talking about Willie Nelson and Hank Williams Jr. and Hank Williams III, who I absolutely adore, and you're there for Pam Tillis and Dolly Parton and all of these names of people who really revolutionized what country music was, then you will appreciate this deck. But that's not the only way you can approach it. And I really just encourage you, if this is a deck that you have chosen to invest in and bring into your practice, I really want you to figure out a way that resonates for you on how to work with it. And so, yeah, there's just something about this deck that is very nostalgic for me, and I really, really love it. I've been working with it a lot surrounding nostalgia, especially during the summer months. And I have this creative project I'm working on, and this deck has been able to help me kind of embody that experience a bit more and in a way bring clarity to things that I didn't know necessarily needed my immediate, clarity or awareness surrounding. And so it's just been a really eye-opening deck. Now, it is a deck that I feel like you can come to it no matter how far you are on your spiritual journey or practice or tarot practice, whatever glorious words you have to call it. This deck will meet you where you're at, okay? So it's not like you have to have this certain initiations that you've been through and you're like, okay, well now I can pick this deck up. This deck will meet you surface level. It'll meet you on an intuitive level. It'll meet you in your shadow work. It'll meet you literally when you're just needing a little bit of uplifting guidance. This deck will meet you where you're at, and I really, really love it for that. I also think that because it has the photographic images, that it makes it so relatable. So yeah, that's my little spiel so far, but I'm going to grab a quick drink. Give me just a second, and then we're going to talk about the actual setup of the cards. Okay, I'm back. So for here we have smoke, and they have put down vision and signals. And then over here on the edge we have some writing. And I will say one of the things that can be a little bit difficult when you first start working with the deck is that sometimes the writing is a bit small. So I'm a glasses girly and I sometimes even struggle with it. So it says smoke signals inform, smoke screen obscure, and all carry messages. So as lovely as the guidebook is, you don't even necessarily need it to be able to read the deck, because we have so many key words and phrases on it. I think it lends itself really, really nicely to almost like a security blanket or hand holding if you're still new and you're still trying to build your intuition. This deck is able to kind of guide you in that. And so I do really, really like it for that. Now, this is one of the cards that I believe she has changed, as well as Good Timing Man. And I wasn't even paying attention when I was chatting earlier if we've already gone through it. But if not, I'll point it out. Sorry about that. My dog is deciding to snooze under my desk. Okay, here we go. Not too bad. He just kind of, kicked my tripod. It's okay. And so, I don't know, like we have a beer can and an oracle deck, and in my 20s, like I loved PBR, you guys. That was like $8 for a 12 pack. I don't know, like I just have so much relation to this deck, and such a relationship that's reflected within the deck that I just really, really love, and I appreciate it for what it is. It's been such a loving friend to have, and such a trusted ally in walking a solitary path that, I feel like if you come from maybe like a desert or rough and tumble kind of lifestyle, or whatever you have, like it just meets you. It just meets you right there. This turquoise card, I love it. I love this card so much. We have Our Lady. We have some Holy Mother reference in here, which again is so big for me because I do work with the Holy Mother in a very witchy way, and so I love that we have this referenced here. This is the Good Timing Man. So these two cards are both cards that she has changed in her second edition. So if you are to purchase a copy now, you will not have this image for the Pioneer or this image for the Good Timing Man. I believe the Pioneer now shows and please correct me if I'm wrong, it shows someone riding a horseback, and then the Good Timing Man is a picture of, I would like to say, a rough stock rider kind of holding his buckle that is strapped obviously to his belt around his waist. And so we just kind of have like that shot of his hands and buckle, and that's if I remember correctly. And honestly, I might pick up the second edition just because I would love to see those changes. And I feel like I talk about this enough that it would be really nice and convenient to reference that second edition. And so, yeah, I'm super curious about grabbing that. But I don't know, you guys. This is just a really, really fun deck. I love the way that it's put together. I love the images that we have. She does talk in her guidebook that some of the images are photographs that she has taken. Some of them are stock images that she gives credit to. And so I love that we have this kind of blend of, seeing life and the awareness that comes through, her experiences through that lens of her own photographs and her own visual content. And then we also have just images from, like stock websites. So yeah, I don't know. I've been really, really loving this deck. I do want to show you guys a quick pair. that I've been loving working with. So give me just a second. Okay. The cardstock that we have too is so nice. It is like a snappy cardstock, if that makes sense. It really, really can be shuffled, and it can be very, very, it feels very, very durable. But it is still really sensual in its texture, I guess you could say. And like, I'm a big tactile person. I love feeling things with my hands, and this is a deck that just has such good feels to it all the way around. But let me grab you guys a deck that I enjoy pairing it with. Okay, so I was able to grab it really, really quickly, and this is going to be no surprise, but this is the Witch's Tarot. Hear me out, okay? I obviously, I love the Witch's Tarot. Talk about it all the time. And obviously, I love the Outlaw Oracle because it is also referenced so much in my videos and in my content. And it's always on my Instagram. And so these are two decks that I really enjoy pairing together. Now, they work well for a couple of reasons. One being that they're both photographic decks, and I love photographic decks. I don't care. I don't even care. You guys know this. I love my photographic decks, but these work really, really well together because they are both kind of taboo in their own ways, right? Like, we have this outlaw energy, and outlaw is someone who the rest of society doesn't understand, right? They're kind of like unsure on if that person is trustworthy or honest, or maybe, you know, outlaws have had to do some down and dirty things to survive, and it's a very like gritty and rough lifestyle, in all honesty. And then we have the Witch's Tarot here, which to me is very, very reminiscent of some of the more difficult feminine experiences that one can go through, either in their day-to-day life or on their, you know, solitary journey as a witch, or in their spirituality, or however you'd like to phrase it. So I think these are both really good for taboo experiences and kind of those maybe more alternative lifestyles. And I just feel like they work really, really well together for that. And so I don't know. I just kind of like it. I kind of really like it. Like, aesthetically, these go together so well. We have the Highway, which is journeys and self-discovery, choices. And then she has written down travel light, don't look back, paired with the Fool, you know, which is all about jumping off that ledge and kind of diving in head first and just giving into your experiences, your sensations, your journey. And then we have that paired with Boots, which is like prepared and accomplishment or accomplished. And then what does she have here on the side? It says ready to ride. Like, this is very much, you know, some fiery energy that we have here. And then we just, you know, I don't know. I think it just pairs really, really well together. It really does. We have escapism with good times and hideout, paired with the Page of Cups and Wild Hearts, which is unbridled and adventurous gamblers. I don't know, you guys. We have Mirage with illusions, shadow fantasy with Wax and Cold One, belonging, relief, and sanctuary. I just think that if you like photographic decks, and if you like the intensity of the feminine experience and the more alternative down and dirty and slightly taboo sides to life, you will really, really enjoy these two decks together, but also independently of each other. We have Buffalo with Honor, Abundance, Generosity with the Emperor, and Pioneer, Trailblazer, Explorer, Long Haul Driver. It's just, I think it's so good. I'm going to do one more because I don't want to stop. Desert Rose with the Magician and Good-Hearted Woman. Rare Strength, Unlikely Bloom. Obviously, we have the Magician here. And then Respected, Understanding, Easygoing, and Stable. I just think that they work so good. Like, they even look really, really beautiful when they are all put together. Like, it just it lends itself to a very solid, aesthetically pleasing, as well as potent messages received, if that makes any sort of sense. But I don't know. These are just, yeah, it's just two decks that I really like, independently of each other, but especially with each other. So I don't know what else I have left to say about the Outlaw Oracle. I think I've kind of, covered it all. But if you have any questions, like, please feel free to drop them below. I love hearing from you guys. I love being able to answer questions and chat about decks with you. I'm super active in the comments. I literally try and reply to everyone so everyone feels heard. I do also have a Patreon and Substack. If you guys are interested in that, I will drop it into the description box below. But feel free to honestly just give the video a little like, give my channel a little subscribe, turn on the bell, and just roll with it. So yeah, this has been the Outlaw Oracle, you guys. I hope you have enjoyed your time with me. I've appreciated you sharing your finite time with me. And until we meet again, I guess you could say, I'll see you guys around. Bye.